All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Florida Times Union's 2022 High School Journalism Awards. Thank you to all of the schools and student journalists who participated in this year's contest. And thank you to the students' school administrators, news advisors, and their parents for supporting their efforts. 32 years ago, a while ago, I was in a similar situation as you. As a high school senior in 1990, I worked for my school newspaper, and my work was also entered into this contest. Today, I am the first woman and the first native of Jacksonville to serve as editor of the Times Union. It's true that many journalists get their start on their high school or college newspapers, television or radio stations, or digital sites today. But many other students that I or others have worked with went on to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, politicians, civic leaders, and business owners. We know that learning the skills of journalism and the traits of good journalists, including critical thinking, fairness, accuracy, empathy, compassion, creativity, research, and of course, strong writing, will help students no matter what profession they choose later in life. This year, we had more than 6 entries in the 5 individual categories. We were inspired to see the work you're doing on your campuses. You're putting state and national issues into context. You're telling the stories of your fellow students and of the teachers and staff at your schools. You're telling about successes and challenges on athletic fields, among alumni, and in classrooms, and also outside of school. You're providing your schools with an invaluable service. You are helping preserve memories, many that people will hope to never forget, and yes, some that will be harder to read decades later, but all are important to tell. A few housekeeping items. This contest was open to all high schools in Northeast Florida that produce newspapers or news websites. Student journalists, depending on the category they entered, are judged for reporting, writing, editing, and photography. Today, we will name third, second, and first place winners in each individual category, and each of those winners will receive a certificate. We will also name third, second, and first in best overall newsrooms. Those entries were judged based on the content of whatever was included, whether that was print, a website, social media, podcast, or videos. Not having content on one of those platforms did not count against schools. All 3 schools named will receive a check. The first place winner of that category will also be named Best Overall Newsroom and be presented with the Henry Blumenthal Memorial Trophy for Journalistic Excellence. Certificates, checks, and the trophy will be mailed to the schools of the winning journalist and newsrooms this summer. Now on to the winners. To present our first awards, I welcome Alexandria Mansfield, who joined our staff recently as a growth and development reporter. Alexandria.
Hello. Congratulations to everybody who entered this category. You should all be very proud of yourselves, not only for taking the time to nominate your work for this competition, but for doing this important work to inform your peers and teachers about your schools. As you'll probably hear from Emily Block a little bit later, we got together to go through some of these categories, and we were really impressed by just everything that got submitted. It was a very hard time to narrow it down. So I'm not sure if I should go in reverse order, third to first. Okay. That's not how I had it written, so one second. So for third place, we had determined that Students Protest Don't Say Gay bill at Paxson School was the winner for third. This article was more newsworthy and a little less feature focused than some of the runners up, so that's what really sent it over the edge. It also embedded other news coverage, which we thought was a nice touch. It had information about the bill itself and also our local coverage of the bill in Jacksonville. So all of that combined really sent it to third place. For second place, we had Remembering Brian Bork. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm so sorry if I'm not, from Nice High School. This one was very impactful because it was an obituary, and those can be very tricky and very difficult to work with, especially when you're a young reporter. A lot of young reporters have to do them when they're just starting out, but high school is definitely a little younger than most for writing their first obituaries. It was a very thorough and timely piece, and to do this so early on in your careers and with such consideration for the family who suffered the loss and the whole community It was really something special. We also thought that the QR codes added to the page to help, I think with the GoFundMe account for funeral services, were also a really nice touch for readers to feel a little more involved and be part of the mourning process instead of just reading about it. And for first place, we had Can Bulls Say Gay from Bulls School. Another really good article localizing a national story, and it might not have impacted the school the same way it did for others. So it was extra impactful to see that they were taking national statewide news and bringing it to their school level, even though their school wasn't necessarily one of the ones affected by the bill. It was well sourced and researched, and it helped contextualize for students what they were hearing in the news and how it would affect them personally. So that's what got first place. Just a little bit about the category and the judging process we went through. Every article in this category was a great showing of newsworthiness. I was super impressed with your ability to, again, localize so many stories. The biggest recommendation I can give in the future in submitting future nominations for this competition and others is to submit more in the news category. As I said, Emily and I were both looking at the features and news categories, and we saw a lot of really good stories in the features category that could have also fit in news and might have even swept the category. So keep that in mind for future submissions, but otherwise great work, and I'm excited to see what you all do next. And next up is Paul. He's my editor, and he is the managing editor of the Florida Times-Union.
Thanks, Alexandria. Good morning. I'm presenting the winners for Best Sports Writing on behalf of Gary Smits, who's a veteran sports journalist for us here at the Times-Union, who judged this category before going on vacation this week. So to get into that, third place goes to Zoe Larson of Stanton, who did a really great story on the raw emotions after a competition that student athletes experience, whether it's winning or losing. Student athletes deal with the same kind of issues and pressures that professional athletes do as well. Gary notes that Zoe did a good job of mixing both team and individual sports, which carry their own different degrees of pressure. So good job, Zoe. Second place, also from Stanton, is Mahima Kedlaya, who had a fun story, lighthearted story that had great background on how playing music during practice or training can help enhance an athlete's performance and motivate them. Gary notes the opening anecdote where an athlete has a playlist that's exactly as long as the pregame routine down to the second. So they definitely know how to time their pregame warmups. Also a great job, attention to detail, listing each athlete's favorite song that you spoke to is a nice touch. And then the winner for Best Sports Writing, also from Stanton, is Samyukta Sridhar. It was a very well-researched and well-written, smart take on athletes' mental health. This kind of been brought more to the forefront with high-profile athletes like Simone Biles or Naomi Osaka, dealing with stepping away even from competition to address their mental health. A very important topic for pro athletes, for students, for non-athletes even. Gary notes that the quotes from the Stanton athletes are heartbreaking to him in revealing the pressure that's put on students in an extracurricular activity. So great job, very adult topic to dive into. So congratulations to all the winners and to all the applicants even. Great job. It's a wonderful thing to be involved with, I think, as a student, is journalism at your schools and telling the stories of your peers in your school community. So congratulations. Thanks for entering. Thanks for being here with us this morning. And now I'll pass it to columnist Mark Woods, who's going to announce the winners for the opinion category. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. I think I say this every year. It's really hard, almost impossible, because opinion comes from so many different directions. Some of it's almost straightforward news written, some of it's op-ed, some of it's very personal. So it's so hard to judge these, and picking three and putting them in order is impossible, but we have to do that. So these are the three I chose, but there were many good entries this year. It was a strong year. Third place is Minnie Mouse to Michaela Blanton and Caitlin Murray from Paxson. This entry is a point counterpoint about a makeover of Minnie Mouse, but as both points of view illustrate, it's about much more than that. And this is the kind of opinion piece that is full of interesting history, details, and perspective. It helps you learn about a topic and then makes you think about it afterwards. It was a really nice entry. Second place was the Pick Me Up Girl from Sue Erdekin Tainer from the Bull School. In column writing, things like voice and storytelling and style are really important. They aren't just frivolous kind of amenities. They help make the point. And in her essay, it has that. It has voice and style, and it makes it for a really compelling, interesting read. And another one that made me think about it a lot afterwards. So again, bravo to that one too. First place, More Than Just a Theory, Tyhana Aldridge, Stanton College Prep. This past year, you guys' schools have been at the heart of national news and debates. And so this year's entries felt different. There were a lot of things you were touching on involve things happening in school, but we're all over national news. And students who submitted entries deserve credit for tackling just an array of hot button issues with emphatic and insightful opinions, with wisdom far beyond probably what I had in high school. So there were so many good issues related columns and editorials that it was almost impossible to pick one as the best. But I went with More Than Just a Theory by Tyhana. It made a strong case for why it's important for education to include some of the very topics that some want to see kept out of schools. And I felt like it was a really strong piece. So congratulations to the winners and also to everybody who entered. It was really strong year. And now, speaking of education, I'll pass it along to Emily Block, who covers that for us and has had a lot to work with in the past year or two or forever. So she has the features and reviews category.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Block. I cover youth culture and education at the Times-Union. I'm so excited to judge for the High School Journalism Awards again. A lot of the names in here were super familiar, and the story topics are near and dear to my own coverage. With that said, this was a really difficult round, and it had dozens of entries. Like Alexandria said, we sat at a coffee shop, and I think she had a little more than she bargained for because her category was very hard, but had maybe 10 entries. And then we got to mine and it had dozens and dozens of entries. And none of them were bad. Standouts included incredible pieces about students' mental health during the pandemic and a report on how social media and the fashion industry harmfully impact students' self-image, and even a review of every Italian restaurant within striking distance from one student. This was really hard. And what it really came down to was the absolute best writing. And what I mean by that is the nuts and bolts, the headline versus another headline, a lead anecdote versus another lead anecdote, and the most original story angles. So with that, your winners are, in third place, Kelly Kim and Jaden Taher, The Bull School. This profile on a Russian faculty member who was born in Ukraine empathetically gives students a window into the subject's personal life. It's beautifully written and clearly reflects the line of trust established between reporters and their source. Congratulations. Second place, Abigail Milks, Bishop Kenny High School. Abby's story on her school step team takes readers inside a practice. Her use of colorful, immersive writing, along with source interviews, paints a picture for you. She also included clever sidebars, including a step team glossary to tie it all together. And finally, in first place, Mahima Kedlaya, Stanton College Preparatory School. This story masterfully weaves a trend the reporter observed, spirituality's impact on teen culture, with student interviews and commercial trends. The strong writing is coupled with great original art and made a really exciting package. Congratulations. And with that, I'm also presenting the photo category. Catherine Lewin, our social justice reporter, was the judge, and I'll be reading her notes. In third place, we have Addie Anderson, The Bull School. Catherine said there was great composition here and use of black and white, interesting subjects to tell a story and set the scene. In second place, we have Sarah Bernardo, Stanton College Prep. This photo tells a story, creative shot with multiple points of interest. And finally, in first place, we have Spurti Nrusimhad Evara. I'm sorry if I butchered that a little bit, from Stanton College Prep. Creatively used lighting, style, subject, and composition. The colors are bright and colorful. It tells a story, and the photo is well focused. Congratulations to all the winners. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to my editor, Mary Kelly.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you to all of our judges for taking the time to review all of those entries. I know that in some cases we did have dozens, and to provide such great feedback, I think, to students, things that you can truly take with you if you continue writing, and things that your advisors can consider for future classes. Managing editor Paul Renestrand, deputy managing editor Gary Mills, and I worked together to judge all of the newsrooms that entered for the best overall newsroom category. To be clear, we also had a difficult time selecting the final three. All of your newsrooms worked hard to cover your communities. Our choices in the end largely came down to the way we felt about how your coverage focused on your campuses. That differed by school, with some doing more issue stories, some more profiles, some more event coverage. Some of you continue to print papers, which wasn't necessary to win, though it was nice to see on occasion. And all of you continue to experiment with a variety of video, podcast, and social media. That's something we at the Times Union can relate to, as even our newsroom continues to experiment with new platforms to help meet our audiences where they are. So this is where we ended up. Third place for best overall newsroom was the Eagle TALON from Paxson School for Advanced Studies. This news organization did a great job of covering the different aspects of school life, from tackling important issues to teacher spotlights. We also like the idea of the for and against column on the one issue that Mark actually selected in his opinion category for the Minnie Mouse thing. That was a really good idea, a bright way of making sure that you're getting diverse opinions in at the same time. We really enjoyed that. For second place, the Bowles Bugle for the Bowles School. Bowles clearly values telling the stories of its students, staff, alumni, and community. The stories are timely and topical, with an emphasis on reporting and writing. The printed product balanced strong photos and illustrations with easy to read stories. The website is rich with recent and relevant content. And in first place, and the winner of the Henry Blumenthal Memorial Trophy, was Stanton College Preparatory School's The Devil's Advocate. The staff at The Devil's Advocate took on everything from weighty topics to everyday observations, making for a really nice mix of content. Their use of words, videos, images, illustrations, and more really helped to tell the stories of their community. We think that they provided an incredible service, and we're sure that the students at Stanton greatly appreciate what they were able to provide. That is a wrap for this year's Times Union High School Journalism Awards. We thank you again all for entering. We appreciate the time and effort you put into telling the stories of your communities and truly capturing these memories. We love doing this program every year. It's something that is truly a highlight, because we are encouraged and inspired by the great work that is being done at such an early stage in all of your careers. And we're excited to see what you do next. So thank you for joining us today. Congratulations to all of the winners. And again, thank you to our judges and to the school administrators, advisors, and the parents of the students for all of your support. Thank you again. Have a great day and a great weekend.